All right, we're back on the Momentum Podcast. Appreciate Dre for letting me take over this week. We got one of Traction AP's very own Jake Archbold with us today, and he's going to talk to us about a little bit about his high school career, a little bit about adversity. I'm going to ask him some questions, and he's going to try to give it to us how he saw it back then and looking back on his high school career and a message to young athletes out there. So. Jake, appreciate you coming on today.
Yep, thank you.
I think Jake was one of the first homestead kids I ever trained, probably. I think so. One of the first homestead kids I trained. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born in Fort Wayne. I've been here my whole life. I have two sisters, Paige and Taylor. They're just a grade below me. They're actually going to play soccer next year. Paige is going to University of Kentucky. And Taylor's going to Indiana Wesleyan to continue their academic and soccer career.
House full of athletes.
Yep. I went to Homestead High School, Southwest Fort Wayne. I went there all 4 years, grew up Southwest area, went through elementary school, middle school, and ended up in Homestead District, and ultimately ended up coming over to AWP. I want to say somewhere in my middle school career, I came over back when they were at the Summit, the old complex, and have just been coming ever since, and have definitely seen progress in my ability to play, progress mentally, physically, and just growing relationships with the people here throughout my few years that I've been here.
So, one thing I forgot to mention, you're actually at Grand Valley now. On a football scholarship, right?
Correct.
Okay. Do you have a plan on what you want to study or what you want to major in?
Currently majoring in exercise science. Finished up my first semester there, and we'll probably continue with exercise science. May double major in sports management as well. Just with everything that's going on, I have an extra year of eligibility, another year of school to get paid for. So I'll probably double major and possibly see whether I want to go, somewhere, medical field, or, go back to the business route, give myself both options.
Okay.
So just something to be around sports. I don't really want to leave that out. That's probably my main focus in life, is just that's about all I do. All my friends, all my family, everybody's been around sports. So that's probably the most important thing to me when I'm looking for a job later in my life.
What would you say during your high school career? When did you start thinking about what you wanted to do in college? Was it late? Was it middle of high school, or is it something you always known you wanted to do?
Are you talking about major-wise?
Like exercise science-wise?
I've always liked my freshman year at Homestead. I started in Project Lead the Way, so I was able to kind of get more hands-on experience of what the medical field was all about. Got to do all kinds of labs that involved different things, and ended up liking it, obviously, because that's kind of where I'm leaning towards now. Then, as well as my uncle, Joe Maddox, who is actually a doctor for Parkview, kind of does something similar, is in the sports field, sports medicine career field. He's probably what he does is probably a little bit more than what I would want to do. But something in that field I thought was really interesting. So that's kind of where I'm leaning to right now. But obviously, with the sports management major as well thrown in there, I could end up business-wise too. So something along those lines, just stay around sports, is what I'm kind of looking for in a career.
Awesome. Yeah, Mr. Maddox is a great guy. He's one of the best. So I guess the biggest thing, after talking to you a little bit about yourself, I kind of got introduced to you, I think, in the middle of your high school career, and I saw, obviously everybody knew who you were your freshman year. You did some good things at the quarterback position. So, and then I know you came out for 7-on-7. I think my first time knowing that you were like a natural player on both sides of the ball. I think there was a play when you were middle safety and came to the sideline and had some crazy pick and everybody went wild. And I know quarterback was your passion and everything, but now you're playing in college on the defensive side. So kind of break down and talk to us a little bit about how your how your high school career started. Started pretty good for you, then things ended up not really going the way you wanted, and how you dealt with all that stuff.
Yep. So, coming into high school, I actually played running back in middle school, played linebacker as well. But, just offense was really where I started playing football, where I fell in love with football. I grew up playing flag, and then ultimately led to 7-on-7. And I was always playing quarterback. So offense was something that eventually became more natural to me, something I was more comfortable with. And then heading into high school, that's kind of where I was led. I played quarterback my freshman year, and you know, every here and there when we were up a little bit, I got to go in, played a little bit in the regional game against Carmel, almost the whole second half. That was a good experience. And then going into my sophomore year, Jaya Wright, who is a friend of mine, really great quarterback, really great person. I was the quarterback at the time. I still had to wait my turn, and just being able to be alongside him, I ended up playing running back. I played safety. That's kind of my first time really playing defense there at Homestead, and I played safety for the most part, and that was just something that was kind of new to me. I've obviously played in different positions, but being able to play safety, being out with a lot of the guys that I'll still to this day call my family, my brothers, and just getting a different experience. So being able to play young as a sophomore was something that I thought was really fun, and that's when I really kind of fell in love with football. I played basketball growing up my whole life. My dad played college basketball at Butler, so that was something that that was probably his first love, and my first love as well was basketball. And football kind of just always was there. I liked it in the season, but then my sophomore year, after a fun season of playing kind of all over the place, was when I really fell in love with football. Started investing my time into training elsewhere, AWP, now traction, AP, and kind of just wanted to better myself. Ultimately wanted to play college football. Then going into my junior year, that was the year where I had all my dreams and hopes set for that. That was going to be my year. I was going to be the guy. I was going to be the quarterback. And ultimately, my dreams and goals were to win a conference championship, make a deep run in the playoffs, and that was the year that we thought we had the best shot to win state. Obviously, people transferred, and we didn't have the same team that we anticipated. But going into my junior year, we had a quarterback battle between me and one other individual, and just going through the whole summer, knowing that one of us was going to get the job, one of us wasn't. That was kind of my whole mindset going into that season, was that I have to outwork every day at practice. I've got to do my thing. And ultimately what it led to was we ended up splitting time my junior year. Obviously wasn't ideal for the situation. Went through the whole season splitting time, and it really didn't work out. In my opinion, I would think a lot of my teammates and coaches looking back would agree, saying that probably wasn't the best decision that any of us made. But that's life. That's how you had to go with it. And, anything I said or anything I did wasn't going to change anything. So to just be able to put your head down and keep, battling through it. Mentally, that was probably one of the toughest years of my life, just knowing that, this potentially could ruin my chances at playing college football. After the season, I didn't know what I was going to do. I still, at the time, was training quarterback in hopes that, next year would be different. I trained with Peter Morrison's older brother, David Morrison, and I was in Twan too. I was training with him as well, but just didn't really know where it was going to take me. Ultimately, and I think it was just talking with my parents and some of my friends that the best decision for me was probably to not put myself through a dual quarterback position again, and just market myself elsewhere. So I went back like my sophomore year, ended up playing safety, as well as playing slot receiver on the offense, and special teams, return guys, whatever they needed for me. So I went in after my junior year. I trained quarterback for quite a while in that summer, or not the summer, but the winter, and ultimately kind of made that decision that this probably wasn't best for my future, best for my team. So I went in and had a conversation with Coach Zolman, who is still the head coach at the time, and just being able to open up to him and share what I was going through with him, and then ultimately him agreeing that I needed to be on the field elsewhere, just to use some of the talents and skill sets that I had to offer to the team. So just having that conversation with him, feeling pretty content with where I was at, and then from there, contacted LB and started training with him ever since. Been with him about 3 years now, and I came in for the first time playing and training here, and I was probably one of those kids that you're looking at and you're like, oh, this kid's an athlete, he's pretty good, but skill wise, fundamentals, I was probably one of the worst at traction.
I wouldn't say the worst, not the worst.
I wasn't as good as where I am now, but just being able to through those 3 years and ultimately that year leading into my senior year, just to be able to get a little bit more training under my belt definitely helped the momentum go into my senior year, which ultimately I ended up having a pretty good year. I was very pleased with the production that I was able to help put forth for my team, and just one of the best years, most fun years I've ever had in my life.
You had like a high school, like a United States high school record, didn't you? Something like that. Like
I was on USA Today, I believe.
Yeah. What were those stats?
It was the sectional championship game against Carroll, who's our rival. We're not really big fans of them. Don't like any of those guys on the field. Outside of the field, I train with them all the time. I love them.
Yeah.
But on the field, not a fan of them. I ended up having 4 interceptions that game. I did drop 1. I would have had 5. And then I had 4 touchdowns and in 4 different ways. I threw a touchdown on like a jet sweep pass type thing. I had a rushing touchdown from a wildcat position at quarterback. I had a receiving touchdown, as well as a interception return for a touchdown. So scored 4 different ways, and ultimately, throughout the entire game, our team played amazing, and we were able to come out on top and claim the crown over our rival Carroll.
That must be hard for you to talk about because you like real humble. So it's like gotta be hard for you to talk about. And I know in those situations, you gotta let it be known that it was a career day. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's good. Well, I guess hearing you talk about your high school career, I mean the biggest message we want to have out today is adversity, and I know and really overcoming adversity. And I know I know that the first time I met you, you wouldn't say it, but a lot of the kids around you would let me know that you were kind of upset about the situation that was going on. You really wanted to play quarterback. You felt like you had been training with, like you said, Morrison and Twine a lot to really be like one of the best players in the city at the quarterback position, which I believe you could have been at any position. So I guess when you talk about adversity and listening to your story, I remember the first time when you walked in and I kind of gave you an experience of what I went through at IU. I went through a situation where I came in as a DB, as a corner, and I had a passion at corner. Really, it was just I was operating off of fear, why I didn't really want to play safety, but they were moving me to safety. Yep. And I remember having a conversation with you, like, if I wasn't operating off of fear or anger about the switch, I could probably come out and I probably would have came out and earned a starting spot. But instead, I ended up being second string because every practice I was pissed off. Every practice I was scared that I was going to make a mistake instead of just going out there and play my game. And I think, as you continue to train, as you continue to do everything that summer, it seems like that you hit adversity straight on in the head. And I think a lot of times that, kids kind of run away from adversity. Which you didn't. Running away from adversity is just basically running you away from struggle in life. And struggle in life is necessary for kids to be able to grow, be able to operate in certain situations. So how did you, when the adversity actually hit, how did you get through it? Like who around you, like obviously you spend a lot of time with your family, spending a lot of time with your friends. Was your family telling you to hit it head on, or was everybody else telling you to hit it head on, or was this just something that you read or just snapped in the back of your mind?
Yeah, so just, going through all that, like I said, that was probably one of the toughest times of my life. I was down. I wasn't, in the best spirits all the time, but by no means was I, depressed at all. I don't want anybody to get that message, but
right.
Just definitely a tough time for me. Never really faced any adversity in my life. Besides, in football at least, that was probably the first time I really hit adversity. and just going through the whole thing, not knowing whether or not, politics were involved, and everybody's throwing all these different mixed things around your head. Just like I think a lot of the media today is, everybody spins things, so different people have their own opinions, and then obviously the people who are involved in all of it have their own opinions too. So going through the whole thing and just having kind of the mindset that I kind of felt like it was unfair to me, unfair to the team, obviously, because they put us in a position where it wasn't ideal for us to be successful. But then just being able to communicate with my friends, communicate with my teammates, my family, and everybody here at Traction that kind of gave me some advice where they would lead, like you're telling your story, just being able to attack it head on. So I'd say my biggest thing for me was just ultimately knowing what was best for my team and kind of just putting my head down and going back to work. That summer I got super strong. I got a lot stronger than I was my junior year, faster. My skills for as far as defensive back go improved more than I was my sophomore year, and just being able to build relationships and have difficult conversations with some of my coaching staff, some of my best friends to this day who I think will be my best friends for the rest of my life. So just having those guys that also play football, have been through different types of adversity inside outside of football, and just being able to kind of lean on those people when you need them I would say be my biggest thing, and my biggest help through my adversity.
That's good. That's good. And I think in all that, when you think about it, experience is the best teacher. The best teacher. And you mentioned something that at that time, you've never hit adversity before, so it was new to you. You've never been through that experience. So I think you leaned on people around you to help you get through it, but then you also had the mindset that you weren't going to back down from anything too. Yeah, it was tough for you, but you made a decision in your mind that you were just going to hit it head on and you were just going to go with it. So that's good. I guess the next thing for me, now that I think about it, is, with the adversity you have, would you say that struggle was necessary for you to be able to, you're a freshman in college right now. Mm-hmm. Would you say that it was necessary for you to be able to learn how to adapt with the adversity that's probably going to come in college?
Yeah, I would say I'm definitely a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. I think that God gives His toughest challenges to people who He think can handle them, and that was one thing that kind of was able to propel me through all of this, was just knowing that this is supposed to happen in my life. This is not something that ideally I want to happen, but it's something that's necessary for me to be able to be successful in life. And just going through adversity like that, knowing that that's going to probably similar situations going to happen in college, going to happen after college in my careers, competing for jobs, that's going to be able to, allow me to use what I learned from that situation, which I would say my biggest thing from that situation is just to learn to, lean on people when you need them, as well as just being able to, put your head down and work and just, focus on yourself, focus on where you think you need to be, and not let any of the outside noise get to your head, and just kind of go and do you, and perfect the craft, whether that's in your career field like I mentioned, or even football, life in general, whether that's a relationship or anything. But I think the biggest thing for me through that whole situation was just being able to learn from it, take away things that I think I'm going to be able to ultimately have benefit me while I'm at GV. Football's not easy. And definitely experiencing something like that, being able to overcome it and push through it, I think ultimately will be able to propel me through college. And most people in college, they go for 1-2 years, they realize it's not for them, they end up quitting football and just going to school. So I think that's one thing where I kind of have an advantage now, is the way I try to look at it, because that's not something that I wanted to happen in my life, but now that it did, I'm able to take what I learned from that and use it to, my advantage the next 4-5 years at school.
Yeah, and listening to that story, I think about situations, one of my real good friends, Kevin Bush, that was one of your coaches, his big thing is adapt and overcome. And it's tough. We talk about, Here at Traction, we don't tell kids what position to play. We ask them what they want to do, and then we train them for it. But it's tough when you go to a school, and you have a position you have in mind or something you think you're good at, but, and it's tough for the schools too, because they have to, their goal is to win.
Yep.
The goal is to win. Goal is to win state championships. And they have to, for whatever reason, sometimes you have to make tough decisions, whether it's, not all the time it's political. Sometimes it's just the best position that you can put a kid in to help the team win.
Yep.
And that's the difference between us here. Yes, you can do that at your school, but we want to come train a kid for what they want to do and to be able to showcase that talent when they get the opportunity to do so. But I think listening to your story, listening to a lot of different kids that have the same similar situation, I feel like you felt, even though it was a tough time for you, you learned how to adapt and overcome. Mm-hmm. And you went through a struggle that really ended up in your favor, because like a lot of people run away from those struggles.
Yep.
I've trained a lot of kids. I've played with a lot of players that once some adversity hit, once struggle hit, once something didn't go their way, instead of them just being like, you know what, I'm gonna try to make the best out of this opportunity. I'm gonna try to figure out how this, if I wanted to go pro at quarterback, I'm gonna try to go pro at linebacker or DB or whatever it is. Yep. So I think a big message out of this is understanding that, things aren't always going to go the way you visioned it to be. Everybody, we talk about, we're big on making a vision here, making a plan, making your goals. But sometimes there's going to be something along the way that you can't control. That's going to knock you off of your pivot, knock you off of that vision that you have for yourself. So I think when you think about the word or the saying adapt and overcome, I feel like you really have to have that in your mind all the time, because change is it's always going to happen.
Yep.
Change is going to happen. Nothing's ever going to go as planned all the time. Some people may get lucky and that happens, but very rarely it does. So adapting and overcome is something that, and hitting adversity head on is one of the reasons why I wanted you here, because me watching you your freshman and sophomore year, then me actually getting the opportunity to train you and see what you were going through. Not like you said, not from a depression standpoint, but just mentally, like maybe a little upset, you know what I mean? Maybe a little upset that, things weren't going your way. But I think that over the last 3 years, you figured out a way to adapt and overcome the situation to the point where, you were able to become, scholarship player for Grand Valley State, which is one of the best D2 schools in the country, isn't it? And that's a message out there to a lot of players. Sometimes things aren't going to go your way in high school, or in college, or in the pros. But people get moved all the time. And it's a tough situation. And at the time, it's probably hard to understand. But I think if you understand, there's other opportunities for you to be able to still be great. There's still other opportunities, I think for you still got an opportunity to still play quarterback, right, at your school? Like, as you were playing safety, they still put you in at quarterback, and you've made a lot of plays at quarterback, right?
Yeah, I was able to play Wildcat.
Yeah, so
third down situations when we needed to run.
Yeah, so it's but you, even that preparation for you at quarterback, now I'm not gonna play quarterback anymore. I'm gonna prepare as a DB. All that preparation and you being able to adapt, you were still able to come in back at quarterback in your senior year and still be able to do what you needed to do to help the team win.
Yep.
There's situations like for me and my experiences where, because of my mindset, because I didn't want to adapt, it was hard for me to overcome the situation. It was hard for me to actually give my full, my full maximum effort, or get the maximum result out of it, just because of my mindset. So your mindset is everything when it comes to adversity, when it comes to situations that, you probably didn't plan, or just change happened out of nowhere. I think your mindset, and to be able to just talk to yourself each day and tell yourself that you're going to be better. You can do it. I tell you guys all the time, Jesse has it on his shirt and it's his slogan, just believe. But I feel like if you actually believe in yourself, no matter what situation is put in front of you, you can achieve it. You can
Yep.
you can get over it. So, yeah. Do you have anything else that you would want to say? Do you have a message to any young kids out there that probably had situations of adversity or struggle?
If I had one word of advice to anybody that's going through adversity or struggle, I'd say believe is a great word, but I'd say just persevere through it. Nothing's handed to you in life. Nothing's easy, and you got to work for everything that you want in life. I feel like America is a world of opportunity, and if you don't take advantage of all your opportunities, you're just wasting it. Go take advantage of every opportunity that you get, whether it's sports, athletics, or even in the career field. But just being able to push through and ultimately believe in yourself, trust in yourself that you're going to get the job done, and don't worry about relying on anybody else to help you along the way, because ultimately it's you that's going to be able to put in the work, as well as taking in advice from people that have been there and done that, and being able to have conversations with people that are going to ultimately lead you to where you want to be. I'm just really thankful for everything that I was offered here at Traction, my relationship that I built with LB, and just being able to grow my skill at the same time, as well as just enjoying the moment. I've loved every second that I've been here, and the big message is, if you want to play college football, there's no other place to train in Fort Wayne besides Traction AP. That if you want to get to the next level, if you want to enjoy every second of it, then you got to come here and listen to everybody. They know what they're talking about. They've been there, they've done that, and just keep working, keep grinding, and just keep a positive mindset, because ultimately that's what's going to lead you to where you want to be, the goals that you've set for yourself. So just keep pushing. That's all I got.
Yeah, we appreciate that. We appreciate that. And to correct them on that, even though I appreciate the praise for Traction AP, but I think, when we talk about if you want to go to college, now, you're not just going to get to college by coming to train here. That's one thing that I like to put out there. Even though we've had the results of a lot of kids getting to college, that's not a guarantee when you come here.
Yep.
I think on our last podcast, we talked about priority. Some people come here and it's not a priority to be here. So that's one thing, but also, you got to be fully invested, not just by body and physical training. It has to be, you have to do, character development. You have to be mentally equipped to understand what to do in certain situations. I think that's one thing we do here, but we're not just coming here is not going to guarantee you a scholarship. But I will say that we have all the tools, we have all the trainers, we have all the knowledge to be able to give you the best opportunity to be able to go to college. So I appreciate that, Jake. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you allowing me to train you over the last 3 years. I appreciate your parents allowing you. Your mom's awesome every step of the way. I've never seen your mom without a smile on her face. Your dad as well. Really firm handshake. I think he taught me how to have a good handshake, because the first time I shook his hand, I thought I broke my finger, but I don't think I've ever told him that. But awesome family, man, and I just appreciate you guys letting us be a part of your journey.
Yep, we appreciate you too.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Appreciate it.